It's the Social Oddities Podcast, coming at you from 5 parts of the UK, all for one reason: the amazing world of wrestling.
I've never seen a crowd so fired up, JR. They know what's coming next. They can't wait to get started, and neither can I.
Welcome everybody to episode 3 of the Social Oddities Podcast. I'm joined here by Chris, Rach. Say hello everyone.
Hi everyone.
Hi guys.
Obviously you'll hear that Adam isn't here today. Obviously some things are more important than turning up on time. He has abandoned us. We've talked over the last couple of weeks about part-timers, so
yeah,
we'll definitely let him have it next week. Obviously stay tuned for our complete rinsing of him next week. But we might get him via satellite feed with part-timers. Look forward to that.
You'll probably win the belt next week.
Yeah. So he'll be headlining Mania before we know.
Don't pay for that.
So busy. So we've got a lot to get through. We've got a couple of questions as well from listeners and people over the last week. So got a lot to squeeze into this. So Fastlane, obviously Raw and SmackDown as well. So let's start with Fastlane, shall we? And I guess it's probably best to start with the main event so we can get it over with. I can be grumpy and then be happy for the rest. If people think of Owens, because I'm
terrible,
already annoyed by it.
Yeah, Kevin
totally.
Owens should not have lost it like that. No way.
Collective outrage straight away.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty universally agreed then.
Anything different?
I did actually. I kind of for a minute thought it was going to be Kevin Owens. I really did. I thought they was going to surprise us all, but no, I think the way it happened was terrible. I was not impressed with that. Was it 22 seconds?
Yeah, I mean that's what Adam said last week as well, wasn't it? He said that he thought it was going to be they were going to swerve it and have Owens win it, but obviously that's not what happened, unfortunately.
So I think Goldberg's main evented 3 shows now. Has he Survivor Series, a bit of the Rumble, I guess, and this one, and I think he's had matches lasted about 100 seconds in total.
Yeah, I think they said that he's wrestled 2 matches, both totaling in under 2 minutes, and he's already Universal Champion. So his 2 matches have lasted under 2 minutes combined, and he's the champion.
So bad. See, it just really annoys me.
It's ridiculous. It really is.
So I'm attempting to find some positives from there.
Please share if you have one.
Yeah, I'm struggling.
If anybody listening does have a positive outlook on Fastlane, please tweet
I'd be
us
interested
at
to know.
TSO_pod.
Yeah, we will give out our Twitter and Facebook at the end of the show for people that want to find some positives of that. But yeah, I guess he's a big name. Let's briefly last week. He's a big name, I guess. His face on the poster for Mania sells tickets, I guess. But
he's done a proper rating. It is
sold out, isn't it? Mania's always sold. You know, if you're not a network subscriber now, if you're that much of a casual fan, you're going to sign up for the free month and then probably not stick around. So, what is the point of Goldberg? Who's he attracting?
Well, Kev's
I
a
wouldn't
fan.
even know.
Yeah, I'm a fan, but I've been a fan for years.
Yeah.
It's different being a fan back in his WCW days to being a fan now, but it's not where it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I've said before, I was never a massive WCW guy. I only kind of went in and out when there was an ex-WWE guy who I was interested in, like Bret Hart or something like that. So Goldberg to me was never a big deal, even when he came in 2003, was it? It wasn't a big deal for me then either. So
what was that WrestleMania with Lesnar? Was it
WrestleMania 20?
Yeah, it was 20, wasn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, 13 years.
Yeah, so he came in a month, well, the Raw after WrestleMania 19, wasn't it? So
I guess
he came down, speared The Rock, and then fought The Rock. And
attempting to find the reasons why they've done it. I guess that, I don't know, I guess if they're going to put him in the Hall of Fame at some point, it'd be good to announce him as a former champion.
He already had the world title in his previous run as well, so they could have just went with that. I think it's just on the proper rating. It's a plus.
Do you need a proper rating for WrestleMania?
But they can also sell loads of these title side plates that they do as well. So I mean, they're about $80-$85 a pop, and some people will buy them. So it's more money for them as well if people buy them. So it's all commercial and money. So
obviously we're talking Fastlane just now. I don't really want to skip too far ahead and review different shows out of order. But since we're on Goldberg, he was on Raw the next night. He got a bit of booze. I kind of heard a couple of the people in the crowd booing him, getting a bit sick of him already.
It's Chicago. Chicago's notoriously quite a smart crowd, so I think that's had a lot to do with it. Plus the usual CM Punk chants when you get into Chicago. It's always going to happen, isn't it? So yeah.
So,
But
slight tangent. Do we ever see him coming back?
Punk, never say never.
And how big do you think that pop will be if they bring him back instantly?
Oh,
that would
it'll be enormous.
insane.
You've
Because
seen it before.
especially if they don't announce it. I know they love announcing stuff. If they don't announce it,
That's
but
something
they just
that I think
they just play the music.
surprise. Yeah, if they ever did do it, I mean, they've done it before where they've played the music and it was Heyman that came out, and just
Yeah.
but just that music, the place went absolutely bonkers.
I think they will one day. I definitely think he will.
If there's money involved, then money talks, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does. But I definitely think he'll be in a WWE ring one day again.
One thing I hate about this current era, if you will, is they love announcing stuff. They love saying, "Oh, next week on the show is going to be Triple H, and next week is going to be this guy." I think if they did a surprise with him, with the crowd,
That'll be huge, and it make people then think, well, if they can keep surprises like that, what are they keeping for next week? It might make people want to tune in more because there might be more surprises.
so Kev, I was saying, obviously you used to be a Goldberg fan, or still a bit of a fan. What do you think about his match with Lesnar? Do you think it could be anything other than 2 minutes? Are you looking forward to that match? maybe just for the spectacle.
To be fair, I'm going to enjoy it no matter what because it's my first WrestleMania. But it's honestly, I think it's going to be a letdown. 2 minutes tops, over and done with. All this build up and it's done. It's finished.
What could they do? They're going to have to squash somebody. They can't do it to Lesnar again. Sure, it damages him a lot.
Lesnar has to win.
If they do it to Goldberg, it's tough for him to come back from that as well. Surely they've got to do more than 2 minutes for the main event. They've got to do something.
Is his contract not up though?
Goldberg's?
That's Mania.
Yeah, he pretty much only signed like a 3-4 month deal through WrestleMania. So after WrestleMania hits and done. So he's doing that inside the rope things as well. So he's doing a wee tour after WrestleMania too. So he can't stick around much longer.
So I think the ending's pretty predictable, but it's just how they get there. I don't mind Lesnar winning. I think he's a fairly credible champion. I think that's fine. But it's how they get there. I think the match they have has to be. I'm not expecting it to be a Bret Hart Shawn Michaels thing, but it's got to be a WrestleMania main event type. Even a Hogan Rock thing. Hogan couldn't really run as Goldberg.
Are you talking about Goldberg and Lesnar here?
It's got to be something. I'm saying
Are
it
you
can't.
mad? Come
it
on,
can't
stop.
be 2 minutes, surely.
Stop it now.
A throwaway match at the Survivor Series, as a one-off, fine. You can't do that again in the main event of Mania, can you?
Watch.
Surely.
They will. Watch.
Hi, you're watching WWE. Do you know who?
Exactly.
I'm surprised if they.
I think it goes 5 minutes, but it's going to be.
You said that last time.
I said under 5 minutes.
Oh.
To be fair, Goldberg is out of breath after the first couple of seconds, isn't he? He sweats a huge amount. I'm thinking,
What was it? I seen on Facebook as well saying like the walk down the ramp's about 75 yards. He's got to be sweating by the time he gets there.
gotta say, obviously, he's still in decent shape, but looking at how much he sweats and how quickly it makes.
Yeah, that's it. He looks good, but his cardio. This is coming from me, but
Yeah,
I can't really say
so-
much about cardio.
I think the chat about those two has gone on 10 times longer than the match, so we should
Yeah, pretty much.
move on. Let's go back in time. The match before Goldberg Goldberg Owens. The match before Bayley and Charlotte. I'm desperately trying to not grumpy. Fastlane was a bit of a disappointment for me generally.
It wasn't as good as their previous match, the one where Bayley actually won the title, but it wasn't bad. I mean, it's
No,
I don't really see what they're going to really use as a storyline now going into Mania. I thought with the streak and stuff, that would have been something to add to the match, but I don't know about that now.
I think you're right. I think that was.
I mean, I can see why they've done it because they've done that many title changes previously. I mean, what was it said last week? They've done about 6 so far, 6 or 7
Yeah.
between Charlotte, Sasha, and then Bayley winning it as well. I think they've done 7 title changes or something like that, which is something ridiculous. So I can see why they've finally stopped that, but I don't think Bayley should have won the title until WrestleMania in the first place.
Well, yeah. Well,
Which
not
is-
that I wanted her to win. I didn't want to see that, but
Come
I just
on,
don't really
Rach.
understand. No, see, this is why I need Adam. He'd be backing me up. I don't really understand what they're going to use as the foundation for that match at Mania. I really don't.
Well, obviously on Raw they've had the whole Charlotte's due her rematch, and then Sasha's came out as well and said that she wants to fight Bayley as best friends for WrestleMania and blah 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 blah. Then Steph's came out and said Sasha versus Bayley. If Sasha wins, Sasha's in the match. So it's it's triple threat so far.
I think all of us have got some fairly strong opinions on Bayley, and I think before before Chris hits me, I'm not sure if I know what Kev's opinions on Bailey. Are you a big fan, or can you take or leave her?
Take her or leave her. There's
Okay.
no major fan, but enjoy your matches.
I think I'm kind of
Obviously, Rachel there.
The main problem I've got now is because I'm kind of with Chris, big Bailey fan. They could have, because Bailey's not the strongest, and her promos aren't the
Oh,
best.
No, she's
So,
a good wrestler, come on.
They need, yeah, she's good, but they need to give her the stories, and I think she can tell a story better than most people. And the story that they've given her hasn't worked at all. They've messed it up so much, and it's making people not care.
I'd agree with that. I don't think the story they gave her maximizes her character, where she's the underdog who's got to overcome the unbeatable.
Yeah, but they're just rushing it. They're rushing the whole sort of storyline with Charlotte. That could have really have been quite something at Mania, and now it's just rushed.
Yeah, I totally agree with it. I totally agree with that. They should have kept it building where she's been beat at the Rumble. She's just came short again at the one that was last month, whatever the pay-per-view was. Now there's that many of them, I can't remember.
Is the Chamber, wasn't it?
No, that was SmackDown.
No, yeah.
Roadblock. And then she's obviously then won the title, and she shouldn't have won the title. She should have just kept on coming where she was being screwed out at, and maybe Mick keeps on giving her another chance. She's been screwed at this, she's been screwed at that. Eventually it comes to WrestleMania and she overcomes the odds.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to be winning at Mania. I deep down think it's going to be Sasha Banks. That's who I'm placing my bets with.
I think Bailey's retaining.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know, because I heard a vague thing about the pay-per-view after WrestleMania. It might be Payback.
It's at San Jose, which is Bailey.
Yeah.
Bailey's hometown, so
I can see her.
But there's no way she's going to lose it at WrestleMania to win it back at San Jose, because that's just going back to what they've done previously. Yeah. Changing the title every month, it just makes no sense.
I don't know. It's not making sense now, Chris, to be fair, though, is it? So.
But
it's just really,
it wasn't making
frustrating.
sense just with Charlotte and Sasha. I said that before. It wasn't making sense when it was just the two of them trading the title between each other, because that harms the title more than it helps it. So
it's just, I think at the moment it's a little bit tricky to defend her, because I think
I'll defend her.
Yeah, the stories.
You can just defend her then. You're slowly turning, Damien. I like it.
I'm not. I think I don't think it is. It might just be what she's been given and how the matches have gone and all the rest of it. I think the story could have been better. And it's frustrating. I don't think they're showing it. Just frustrating a little bit, because it kind of makes it's trickier to defend myself against you, which is annoying.
So, Damien, see when we're in Orlando, we're lined up at the Orlando Eye to meet Bailey. I'm just going to say to her,
this is why I hope she can hear this.
Don't hug him. That guy there. Don't hug him.
Yeah, tell her that, Chris.
I think I'll go and see her and give her some concern. I think that's fair. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll listen to you as well.
Influential voice now on the podcast, so she might listen.
Bristolian accent. She's really going to listen to that.
I might have to tweet. So I think all of us were fairly disappointed with Fastlane generally.
Yeah.
So we won't go through all the matches, but just one I'm interested in getting your opinion, especially Kev, as a big Roman Reigns fan. I'm not sure if that's true. I think we said it one week and it's sort of stuck now. You have to deal with that, Kev, I'm afraid.
Forever be known now as a Roman Reigns fan.
I said I was a fan of him. I didn't say I was a big Roman Reigns fan.
No, that's fact now. You're his number one fan.
I'm the only one who can back him up on this side.
Braun Strowman, obviously, for the last couple of months, has been built up as this, no one can beat him, no one can take him. Was that done just to put Roman Reigns over? Because if it was, I'm even more annoyed. But do you think he should have won that as clean as he did? It's tough for Strowman to come back from that. What do you feel about Reigns and Strowman?
Honestly, I think Reigns should have won it dirty. You cannot build, like you say, Strowman up so well as the monster, the strength of him, to lose clean to Roman Reigns. See,
I think they backed themselves into a corner with it.
It was a tough match to do, because you got two guys that never lose. I don't know what they were thinking. Mm-hmm.
You've got a guy they're trying to build, two guys really that they're trying to build up. They're trying to build up Strowman as this unbeatable monster, but they're trying to build up Roman because he's got Undertaker at WrestleMania, so he's got to look strong. I think the right guy went over, because Roman's got the Undertaker and he's got to look like a threat. I don't think they've done it in a way that it's kind of kept Strowman looking as strong as what he was before the match, because he got pinned clean.
It's quite a good tangent, really. Obviously, one of the questions we've had over the last week has been on Twitter from @WeLoveTheGraps, who from the sounds of a group of Americans who review indie shows. They've asked, where do you think Braun Strowman goes from here? Can he regain his? Obviously, a clean loss is quite big for Strowman. I thought they were going to hold off on that for.
It's a big loss for him to take, but I think obviously he's came out on Raw the next again night and he's called out Reigns again. So I think they're trying to still keep him strong, but he's not scared of anyone. Unless you're the Undertaker because he backed away from him, but I think they'll build him up, and I think he's winning the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, isn't he?
Yeah. Do you think that's where you see him at Mania?
Yeah, that's where it'll be. That's
The
what
only place he's got really left now, isn't it?
The guy's been in the main events the last couple of weeks. For him to go in the
potential
Battle Royal,
pre-show.
that no one cares about. Who got announced for it? Was it Kurt Hawkins and Mojo and all those people that nobody cares about?
All the cringy ones.
Yeah. That's a waste of Strowman, isn't it? I think he's been pretty decent.
Apollo Crews has announced himself for it as well, hasn't he?
Oh,
So
goody.
Yeah.
Ziggler will probably in that as well because of that. So
I think it's a waste of Strowman, that match. I don't know. I think it's a real.
Strowman's actually won me over the last wee
Yeah.
while as well. So the way he's been booked, he has really won me over. I think he's brilliant.
So obviously talking of Reigns, then onto Mania for the Undertaker. I know what I think is going to happen. I think Reigns wins that. I think he wins it clean.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that would surprise Rage because you're quite anti that. But I think me personally, I know Chris has got big views the other way on this, but I think Taker retires and I think Reigns beat.
No,
I hope not.
I don't think so.
I hope not.
I don't think Undertaker can lose again and come back next year.
If anyone from WWE is listening, they can take my idea if they want.
Your idea makes sense, but your idea doesn't work if he loses. if he loses this year, I don't think your idea works. Then you can't come back and avenge a loss to Lesnar if you've lost to Reigns. It doesn't quite work.
No, I get it, and I do understand that, and I agree with that as well. But maybe just what I want and what I get is a completely different thing, isn't it?
Do you think this is the chance? Kev being a Reigns fan, is this the chance for Reigns to turn full heel, cheat to win? Everyone hates him. He's going to get booed anyway, isn't he?
Yeah, he's getting booed either way, to be honest. Unless he's being cheered by Kev, the only one.
Come on, he's up against The Undertaker. Of course, he's not going to get cheered by me.
Oh, no way.
Do you think if he beats Taker clean, the crowd's going to burn? Surely the crowd's going to turn against that in a hurry, aren't they?
Without shadow of a doubt.
He's going to get booed out of Orlando. Come on.
I did see a guy on Twitter already writing his sign saying, "If wins, I riot." So that'd be good fun.
Yeah, but he's still subscribed to the network the next second day, so he's fine.
Yeah. So you think Taker's winning then, Rach? Do you?
Yeah, I can't see him losing. I really can't. Not against Reigns. I just don't see it. I can feeling.
Totally imagine. And the problem is, if it's second to last match, the crowd will be so deflated from that.
They've really got to work on the lineup and where the placing of each match.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if they finish with Reigns beating Taker second last and then a 3 or 4 minute squash match as a main event, the crowd are just going to be like, what the hell are we paying for here?
I think for my seat, because obviously a couple of us in here got WrestleMania packages, and I think for my seat I can actually see. So that'd be quite good fun just to look at her face in the last sort of 10 minutes of Mania. She'll be so annoyed.
I'll be raging.
Yeah.
But I won't be because Undertaker's good.
But if Reigns does win, I really hope it's dirty and I really hope it's a heel turn.
It's going to have to be something pretty epic if he's going to...
He's going to get booed anyway, so this is the perfect time just to pull the trigger on it and just go...
Yeah, really go for it.
Screw it, I'm going heel. And just... Because if there's one guy that's the perfect guy to go heel against, it's The Undertaker. If the timing's right, it's now. My opinion anyways.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a trip now. And I think he's going to get booed anyway, and then, I'm kind of with you, and may as well just completely go that way and just see what happens.
Yeah, but you are right though. If he wins, if Reigns wins, that is going to put everyone in such a bad mood that the last match is going to be miserable.
Yeah, so
it really will.
They really have to work on the placing of each match.
So, what do you think? I was rewatching old WrestleManias earlier, and I think I got to. I'm sure Chris will correct me, but either 24 or 26, and I'm sure the first match was Sheamus and Daniel Bryan, and it was obviously the world title match, first match up. Where do you see Wyatt, and do you see that near the end, or do you see them, they could open with it? They've done that before.
I don't agree with opening up with a world title.
No, I don't either.
I don't agree with that at all. It's happened, obviously it might happen again, but I don't agree with it. I'd have that it's really difficult to really say where the match should be because you don't know the final card yet, but it should be mid to later on in the show at the earliest.
Because you're probably going to have Triple H and Rollins fairly close to the end. You're probably going to have a bit of a comedy match as like a breaker between the, you sometimes have a bit of a
Then you've
a
obviously
down
got
match.
the Cena match as well. That's got to be somewhere in the cards. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It is really difficult to try and place where each match is going to be, and not trying to devalue each match by putting it on too early or putting it on in a place where it's not really warranted.
So I think 3 weeks out from Mania, I'm going to be in a positive mood. I think I'm going to look forward to it. It's going to be a really good event. But the last two
it'll be
matches
great.
worry me. I think the last two matches, which I assume are going to be the last, the end, how the matches are going to go, the ending of them worries me slightly that the crowd could just, and they need to be a bit careful. I think.
Nice
Yeah,
way to put
definitely.
it, I suppose.
Well, they could the ending of Mania. You think about when Austin won the title, and there's hundreds of different things where the ending of Mania is a big moment. You have all the fireworks going off, whatever. I can see the ending of this one being slightly flat. I think they're going to really have to do something.
But it can't really be as flat as what it was last year.
Well, you had some Reigns fans in.
Yeah, no.
No.
No, I don't remember seeing that.
No. Okay. Well,
I won't be happy if it is Brock and Goldberg. I do think it'll be Randy versus Bray, actually. I really do.
See, I'd like that, but I still want Bray to win.
Yeah, I still would want Bray to win, but I'd like to think that would be the main event, seeing as obviously Randy won the Rumble, and it makes sense.
See, that's another thing that I hated as well, is like when they have someone win the Rumble, like Edge a few years ago, wins the Rumble, and then he's on the first match of WrestleMania.
Yeah, that was pretty shit, I'm not going to lie.
Same for that Sheamus example I just mentioned. Yeah, and he was in
Then
the
it's
first
match, yeah. Same.
20-second match as well.
18
seconds, so yeah. Yeah. So
It's one of the taglines they say, though. You go on to main event WrestleMania if you win the Rumble.
WWE call everything a main event, and they've got 7 main events, and the match that opens the show is a main event as well, and yeah, doesn't mean an awful lot, does it?
Yeah,
I go along with CM Punk's line of if you're on last, that's the main event. If you're not on last, you're not in the main event.
For me personally, I'd like there to be a WrestleMania moment as the ending of the show. The coronation of somebody winning the title, whatever. I think if Bray retains, that's not really a moment, is it? That's not really a celebration moment. It's just him retaining the title. And if Orton wins it, the last 20 years of him winning the title, it's not a big moment, is it?
I suppose they could go with Orton winning the title and then going straight into a feud with AJ Styles over the title.
Yeah.
Either that or Bray retains and AJ's close to turning face anyway. So then you've got.
I tell you what, this year is crying out for a Money in the Bank type wild card, because you've got Bray Orton, the winner of that match. I'm not overly sure the winner of that match is going to have a big WrestleMania moment as the winner. But if you have like a Money in the Bank guy come out, surprise like Rollins did, that could be a decent way to end the show.
But there's nobody with Money in the Bank now, is there?
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen, unfortunately.
I just have my worries it might be a bit flat, but hopefully they'll do something about that.
Keep on saying, like with the build up to WrestleMania 31, that it was a very bad build up and nobody was really excited for the show, but it was a great WrestleMania.
Yeah. So hopefully
I'm not saying the build up for this is particularly bad. It's maybe underwhelming, but it could still turn out to be a great show with a lot of good matches on it. So
I think, to be honest, and we're going to come to a question later on about sort of historical stuff, but one of the biggest matches at WrestleMania probably of all time was the Bret Austin. And that was 13? And 13 was probably the most underwhelming Mania build-up and show of all time, probably. It was a terrible Mania, but, just when you think it's going to be a terrible Mania or a terrible build-up, you have a couple of gems there that just saves it. I won't be too down on.
at the end of the day, for you guys, this is your first WrestleMania. No matter what happens, you'll go there, you'll enjoy it, and it'll be something you'll talk about for years.
Oh, hell yeah. I can't wait.
So people said last year wasn't that great to watch live on TV, but I was there and I loved every second of it.
Was that your first one, Chris?
Yeah. It's something you'll always keep with you. I've kept it with me. Oh, I say always keep with you. It's been a year. Until the day I die. But just going out into that stadium, you just look at the spectacle of it all and all that. You always start to use some buzzwords that WWE want me to use, maybe. The grandeur, the granddaddy of them all.
Speaking of a spectacle, there's a bit of a link there. That was quite nice. I think last week we spoke about the cruiserweights, and we spoke about them maybe being in a ladder match, which could be the show stealer with that lot. After Fastlane and Raw, with the Neville and the Austin Aries thing, do we see them building that to a 1-to-1, or do we still see a ladder match happening?
Ooh.
I'd like to see that as a 1-on-1.
I'd like to see it as a 1-on-1 as well, to be completely honest with you. I'll agree with Kev. I think it adds a little bit more prestige to the title that's got a one-on-one feud.
If they do
well.
one-on-one, they've obviously got 4,000 other cruiserweights they'll have to squeeze onto the show. They could do a ladder match as like a number one contenders thing. Do we
Stick
see
them in the Battle Royal. Just put them in there for guys for Braun Strowman to throw into the front row.
I was going to say, do we see them having two?
No, they'll probably have one on the pre-show.
May have, like, to be fair, they're building up Brian Kendrick against Akira Tozawa as well. So I think they might have something to do with them, whether it's in a tag match with maybe Brian Kendrick and Noam Dar against Akira Tozawa and Rich Swann, maybe on the pre-show, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
but they've still got a few shows of Raw, obviously, which is the Cruiserweights are still on, and 205 Live to build that up. So we'll see maybe in the next week or two.
So I know obviously there was other matches at Fastlane. I think some of them aren't really worth talking about too much. But question I wanted, because I don't really know the insides on this, and I'm sure if you will, about what the hell has happened to Rusev? Who is he annoyed and what's he done?
Hashtag handsome Rusev.
Oh, please, don't say that.
So, yeah, just
makes me feel
just for the listeners, I think it's probably worth saying that Chris has got a bit of a man crush and Rachel really hasn't on Rusev. It's probably worth saying that.
Maybe not go that far, but I just did to wind up Rachel.
But he was the main eventer, wasn't he? What the hell has happened to him?
So much potential. But then there was a story that he's in the doghouse because he sent a tweet out about Jack Swagger after Swagger's requested his release.
Yeah, that was it on Twitter. It was him and someone else, though. I want to say it was Cesaro, wasn't it?
I think Cesaro said something as well, but yeah.
It's a shame. I'm a big fan of Rusev. Actually, I think he could be pretty good. But he was way up there, like I said, and he's sort of disappeared a little bit, and not quite sure who he's annoyed or why, but hopefully he comes back, because I think he's one of the main heels they've got. You know, we talked about true heels last time, and he's probably one of the biggest they've got, really, along with The Miz. There's not many other true heels out there.
The other reason that I heard that Rusev was in the doghouse is because he cut his hair and didn't tell Vince.
Okay.
Which you can totally see Vince doing something like that. You cut your hair and didn't tell me, you're fired.
I do love crazy Vince, but that seems a bit mental even for him.
Yeah, but you have to get permission to do everything in WWE.
Yeah, we'll get permission to wipe your arse.
Yeah.
One of these weeks, we really must do a show on just crazy Vince stories. That could last a couple of hours. That'd be really good. We should do that soon. But
coming soon, an 8-part episode.
That'd be the one we need to get an interview with Vince as well. Let's see if he'll answer our Twitter requests. I'm sure he's easy to get hold of, isn't he?
Oh god, yeah, he's not busy at all. He's always through.
So just to close off Fastlane, and also I got a bit of a follow-up question about Samoa Joe and Zayn. I thought it was a decent match. I'm sure they could have better, but we asked this last week and we weren't sure, so I'll ask it again. Where do we see Joe going for Mania? Because he kind of mentioned it a little bit. He kind of said, I've got a plan. We kind of said something along those lines. What do we see him doing for Mania?
I could see something where maybe next week it's Jericho's in the ring, Kevin Owens comes down, they're having a wee bit back and forward on the microphone. Joe comes in and attacks Jericho from behind, and I'm still hoping for it. Balor comes down for the save.
I don't know. I think they're going to leave Owens and Jericho alone, to be fair.
No, but what I'm saying then is you've still got Jericho Owens, but then you've got Balor comes down and saves them, so you've got Balor Joe.
Oh, to set something up with them two for Mania?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean.
I want to see Finn Balor on WrestleMania.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So, again, that's just more of a wish than what could happen, but...
I think we will, though. I think he'll definitely be there.
So one story I saw on social media, I think it was on Twitter, or sent me something, about their fantasy booking. This seems unlikely, but I wanted to get your thoughts. Since Joe isn't in a featured match or even an announced match just yet, and there might be something with him forming a bit of a group with Owens and Triple H and all that lot. And obviously Triple H is keen to get the title, or he was keen to get the title on Owens and sort of stable. And they were suggesting that maybe after Lesnar Goldberg, Lesnar wins, celebrates, Joe comes down to challenge him, and you can have that as your final Mania match, which could be
an impromptu match.
Could be a Joe win. That would be a big WrestleMania moment. And if he's not in a match, I could see him doing something like that. I don't quite know what story they would tell to do that, but I think if Joe just turned up and challenged Lesnar would accept. You could just do it something as simple as that. Do Do we see any sort of swerve at the end of Mania with Joe?
I don't think Joe's in that spot yet.
They pushed Balor pretty quick.
Yeah, but they pushed him within a month. They didn't like say come out at the main event of WrestleMania and say I want that title, give me it. So I don't think they would do that. Or not yet. I could see Joe being champion at some point, not WrestleMania yet.
I think the reason it's suggested is because Goldberg's obviously leaving and Lesnar's contract's up in the air, or at the very least it's part-time, so they may not want a part-time champion. That could be a way of basically having both part-timers lose and having a full-time champion after.
But you could say that about Balor. You could say that Balor could come out at the end and invoke his rematch clause and do it like that.
That would work better, Rich.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think that would really help Lesnar because of the whole beating 1 minute 26, thrown out of the Rumble in 10 seconds, wins the title, then loses to someone else. So that would hurt him as well. If he wins the title, I think he's got to, as much as it might hurt the show for him not being on TV every week, he needs to have more of a run to build back that mystique.
I don't know if I'd be interested in that.
No, you wouldn't be interested in a Lesnar being champion, would you, Rich?
No, I wouldn't. I'm not feeling either of them. I think it's such a waste. Just don't understand their logic with giving it to part-timers. I really don't. There's so many good people on the roster, and to just give it to those two, it just makes no sense. Makes none at all.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
To be fair, a part-timer did go into last Mania as champion.
And the one before.
There's loads.
Is it literally been a bit of a roll of them, is it?
Well, if you think about it, last year was Triple H part-timer, the year before was Lesnar part-timer, the year before that was Batista part-timer, the year before that was Rock part-timer, the year before that was Rock part-timer.
Right, okay then. So
a bit of a pattern now, isn't it?
What's the betting on next year? Well, part-timer.
Who can come back next year?
Someone like John Cena, I was going to say.
Yeah, John Cena in the main event part-timer.
Yeah.
What do people think? So I was going to say, moving away from Fastlane then, I think we've pretty much made our views on that. As I said, Raw set up a few matches for Mania as well. I think we could pretty much name half the card, I guess. So there's Lesnar, Goldberg, Rollins, Triple H, Taker, Reigns, Owens, Jericho, probably Ambrose, Corbin by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Let's say Neville, Aries, or a cruiserweight ladder. It's going to be one, and then Enzo Cass and Cesaro. So those three, and
I think that's pre-show.
Yeah, maybe pre-show. The SmackDown Women's match. I watched that sort of briefly. Have they just thrown every woman in one match? Is that what they've announced?
Pretty much.
Okay.
They basically came out and said to Alexa Bliss, "You're going to defend your title against any woman available from the SmackDown roster."
Yeah, literally, that's what he said.
So there's no match announced, is there? It's not like a.
It's announced. That's what they're doing for WrestleMania.
Yeah, sorry, I meant it's not like a battle royal. It's like a.
No, it's a match.
Like a 7-on-7 type thing.
It's just a match with everyone thrown in.
Right. Okay.
But is that where Naomi makes her comeback?
I was just going to say that. I think she will.
No.
Don't you know her?
You mentioned it.
I think her injury's taken her out past Mania.
No, that's what you're hoping because you're evil. No, I think she'll be back. I really do.
But there's nothing like exaggerating there, right? I'm not that evil. I just don't like Naomi at all. I just can't stand her.
I think she'll get a good pop though as well because it is Orlando, it's her hometown, and
yeah.
Yeah, but you've already mentioned that the aisle is quite long, so she could easily break several knees on the way down there and several hamstrings and stuff.
What's wrong with you?
But if everyone's kind of standing in the ring, ready to start the match, and then her music kicks in, and it's going to be a good moment for her as well. So I think they might, if she's fit, I don't know, but it's something I think they might do.
So it's obviously that multi-woman match, and obviously there's Bayley, Charlotte, Sasha. I don't know where Nia fits in. I'm imagining she'll sneak onto that match at some point.
It looks like they've dropped her.
It did look like that, but I'd be surprised.
There's still a couple of weeks, really, isn't there, to get her in?
So it's pretty much the card done now. Not done as we missed out, but
got to get the SmackDown tags in there as well somewhere.
And Styles and Shane as well, by the looks of it.
Yeah.
That was interesting last night. Have you seen the wee thing that WWE posted online after?
Yeah, that was good.
I was quite liking Road Dogg and Devon though.
So, yeah.
I didn't know Devon still worked there, and the Road Dogg just made me laugh.
Yeah, he was so overreacting, wasn't he? I was like, God, calm down.
Devon's a producer, isn't he?
They don't let anybody go, do they? Once you're in, you're in for life.
Well, Bubba's kind of got himself out. He's working for ROH now, isn't he? So.
Yeah. So Speaking of Jericho Owens, out of all the matches I just mentioned, trying to pick maybe a match of the night, and Jericho Owens could easily be that.
I'm going
I
to
think
go.
it could be.
I'm going to go left field and say if they do the one-on-one match, Neville versus Aries.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll give them
That'll
time?
be a good match.
If they give them time, that could tear the place down.
Do you think they're big enough names?
It's not so much of the big enough names. I think if you give them time, they could have a good match.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it doesn't really matter how big your name is to the casual fan. You can have a good match. You can have a good match.
So I'm hoping that they do the one-on-one because, like you said, they could absolutely steal the show with that match. I think in a ladder match you get a few big spots, but he doesn't really make anybody, if you know what I mean. Whereas a one-on-one could really make one of them.
Yeah, if they have like a 7 or 8 person ladder match, it's going to be a couple of spots here and there. I mean, last year's ladder match at WrestleMania was probably the second best match on the show after the women's match, but I just think there's more personal, especially the fact that they're now building towards that. So I think that is the road they're going down. Last week, obviously, I said they might have done a ladder match, but I can't be wrong. You can edit that bit out, Damien.
Yeah, no, I was going to say keep that.
What about you? What about you, Rach? What match do you think? Now we know more of the card. Is there one in particular you think could stand out?
I do think it'll be Owens versus Jericho. I mean, I'd like to think that Corbin and Ambrose will have a good match, but that's just because I'm biased. Because I just think he needs to redeem himself after a shocking match last year. And Corbin is good, I have to say. He's a good wrestler. So hopefully that'll be a surprise match. Oh, come on. You've got to get him in somewhere, haven't you?
We might come on to the UK indie scene in a minute. But I was going to say, because obviously Rollins Triple H could be solid as well.
Well, that's just going to be amazing either.
I think the entrances will be. I've got a slight doubt and maybe worry that it could be such a good match if they were both fighting fit. I'm not sure what state Rollins is in.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. The next couple of weeks, obviously, but they are really playing up the whole confrontation at WrestleMania. They're not really saying it's a match, really, are they? They're just saying it'll be at WrestleMania. Yeah,
they're being a bit careful, aren't they, at the minute?
Which I think is fair enough. I think it will turn into a match. I just think it may not be a 25, 30-minute classic. It could be. It might be a quick 10-minute thing to make sure his knee holds up, and that would be a slight shame. I still think it'd be good, but I think it could have, hopefully it'll be as good as it could.
I think they're putting him in there with the right guy that'll look after him as well. So
yeah,
make sure nothing kind of really goes wrong, and it'll be a safe match. But I really think when Rollins comes back and he gets into it again, I think he has to tone down his style a little bit, unfortunately, because he's awesome at what he does. But
yeah, he'll start becoming injury prone, really, won't he?
So he'll start turning into Naomi, wouldn't he? Nobody wants that.
Oh, for crying out loud! Right, we're gonna fall out if you carry on.
I can already see I can already hear the slap next week when we're in Manchester, guys.
Damn it, exactly.
So obviously hold that Manchester thought. We're coming on to that next. But Kev, what sort of match? I know you mentioned Neville and Aries, or you sort of agreed with Chris, but is there a match that you can see standing out as one that you're either looking forward to or could steal the show?
Owens and Jericho or Neville and Aries. They're the only two what I personally think can steal the show. Yeah.
To be fair to Rage, trying to get back into good books, I think Ambrose Corbin has got potential. I'm a fan of both. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I do as well. He definitely needs to do something to redeem last year, and I think Baron was good last year in was it Andre the Giant Battle Royal? Gave him a good year. So
I think they've got to make it a no holds barred or a street fight or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them go out to the ringside and just have a brawl, and I think that'll make it a better match. But the fact that obviously now Ambrose has got someone that wants to work with him, not like last year. So I think that should obviously motivate the two of them as well, because this match will elevate Corbin up to the next level as well. Because I think Corbin will win.
We are just hanging up on Rachel.
Wow, I was agreeing with you quite a lot, Chris. You're letting me down now. I'm done with you.
Obviously one last question.
Bailey hater, okay, right?
Whatever.
One last question on the Mania card. We've just been through the matches very, very quickly. I'm sure things will change about, but no major gimmick matches, from what I can guess. No Hell in the Cells, no street fights yet. Do you think they're gonna?
There's still time.
Do you think they'll throw a few gimmick matches in there?
They've still got 3 weeks to announce everything, really, haven't they? So
there'll be something with AJ Styles and.
Well, Shane loves jumping off stuff, so there'll be some sort of
cage match.
Something, yeah.
Okay, so
They'll just make it a cage match so Shane can jump off something.
Yeah.
so moving on then, I think moving away from this week in WWE, more back to the UK indie scene. So there's a couple of shows coming up over the next couple of weeks that I think some of us are going to. I've got ICW in Bristol on Saturday. I'll be able to give you a review of that next week. And then I got Pro Wrestling Chaos on the 25th of this month, also in Bristol. So again, I'll mention that after the show. Is anybody else going to any other shows coming up soon? We've all got Progress in Manchester on the 18th, I think.
19th.
19th.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
a
think,
Sunday. It's a Sunday, isn't it? Yep, Sunday the 19th.
So again, obviously we can talk about that on the podcast after the 19th. So
And Adam's got ICW in Leeds as well, hasn't he?
yeah, do you know when that coming? When that is? I think it's in March, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's this weekend. I think so. You've got ICW in Bristol on Saturday. I think
Yes.
Adam's Sunday.
So obviously we'll have a lot more to talk about over the next few weeks. If anybody's got any questions, there might be a chance for some of us to meet a few guys, ask them a few questions. So anybody who's got any questions, you can tweet it to us at TSO_podcast or go on our Facebook at facebook.com/the Social Oddities Podcast and send in your questions and we can ask them on your behalf. And there'll be a bigger review and talk about them next week and over the next few. So obviously we've had a few questions come in from people. So one of the questions somebody asked, they wanted you going back to sort of basically since day one really, or especially since 2000 really, keep it current. Who do we think's been the most influential wrestler over the last sort of 20 years or so? Who do we think?
Are we talking who's been the most influential on the product, or
just in general really, to you, or yeah?
Because I think the most influential person to the guys that we see wrestling every week, every day now is, for me, it's Shawn Michaels.
So obviously over the last what, 95 onwards, probably his golden era already. Sort of, was he world champion in 96? When was WrestleMania 12?
WrestleMania 12, yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be hard pushed to name somebody bigger than Shawn Michaels who had as much influence. Obviously, you could talk about Hogan as being an influence on the business as a whole.
But I think the one that's influenced the product as a whole from 2000 onwards, and people might not agree with this, but John Cena.
Ugh.
I'll tell you what, I read this question earlier.
He changed the whole product. He changed it from what it was to the whole PG thing, and because of him, and it's John Cena's had the biggest influence on the product that we watch today since the year 2000.
I did read this question earlier, and I had a guess at what all of you might say as an answer, and I didn't have you down as saying Cena, to be honest.
I'm being honest.
Yeah, I thought you might have gone Austin.
Yeah, I was thinking you were going to say Austin, actually. I'm not going to lie.
I know he was slightly before 2000, but
no, Austin changed it from what it was into the Attitude Era, along with Shawn Michaels, DX, Bret Hart to an extent as well. But Cena's had the biggest influence from when he debuted in 2003, I think. And till today, he's had the biggest influence. He's been in main events. He's changed the product from a more adult orientated product to a PG product. So what you see now is because of him.
Yeah, he brought the family element, really, didn't he?
Yeah, so I don't really think you could say anybody influenced it more than what he has.
So what's your thoughts, Kev? Who's been the biggest? Really, I don't know what the right word for it is really, but yeah, the biggest influence, I guess, on the product as a whole over the last 20 years.
Again, I would agree with Chris. John Cena.
So obviously a couple of other names to throw in there. The Undertaker, I know, hasn't been on telly that much, but as a backstage influence, I guess, one of the criticisms of WCW was that everybody was at those throats and it didn't work. It seems to be a more, harmonious, happy atmosphere backstage, and the Undertaker seems to get a lot of credit for getting people to do the right thing and making sure no one steps out of line. How much influence has he had?
He had a lot of backstage influence, obviously. Yeah, but he was a backstage judge, wasn't he? So when they had Wrestler Court and everything, it was if you'd done anything wrong, you went up against the Undertaker. I'm sorry, but if I'd done anything wrong and if I was in WWE and they said, right, you're coming to Wrestler's Court, I was like, right, just tell me what I need to do to make this right. Sorry, I'm not arguing with the Undertaker.
No. And obviously, I'm I'm surprised that Rach hasn't, I'm assuming Rach is just about to mention Triple H.
Oh, see, that would have been too obvious. But yeah, clearly. If it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have the likes of, NXT nowadays. He's helped shape, some of the greatest that we've got now and in the future. But no, I was going to represent the women, actually. I was going to say Trish and Lita were, for me, in the women's division. If you didn't have them, what would we really have had in the early 2000s to what we have now? Before the 4 horsewomen and all of that, I think they were quite influential. They helped women's wrestling stand out slightly. Their rivalry was awesome.
Especially Trish coming from what she was, which was a model.
Yeah.
To having good to great matches with Lita and Mickie James and
just
some of those
the
girls.
improvements she made, and she was just a natural heel. It just worked. I think she had quite a good. Both of them had quite a good influence on the women's division. Actually,
both of them were great heels. Actually, now that you mention it, Lita was amazing as a heel.
Eventually,
in terms of who had the biggest influence on how the women are right now, obviously Trish and Lita were sort of, the time they were in it wasn't their fault. That's just the era they were in, and they had, they did a few degrading matches here, and that's just the era they were in. Do you think Trish and Lita had a bigger influence than, say, a Charlotte and a Bayley and a Sasha? Because obviously the newer women probably did get them more recognition and do the whole Revolution thing, which is where it is now. Do you think Trish and Lita had as big an influence as the 4
Yeah,
horsewomen?
that's huge. Back in the day, them two getting the main event on Raw. I know they go on about that was massive back in the day. Come on, let's be real. That was not heard of.
I agree with Rachel.
They were a couple of trailblazers, I'll say that for sure. If it wasn't for them two, don't get me wrong, in the beginning they did have some, like you say, degrading matches, and it wasn't probably, you could tell how nervous Trish was for ages and stuff, but they just progressively got better. I mean, Lita was always great anyway, but just to see the progression of Trish and the two characters that they created, they were easily able to be face heel on and off for nearly 10 years, and it worked. Their rivalry never got boring. Ever.
It was great to see, obviously, the work that Trish put in as well. Again, coming from a model, and that she wanted to get better. She kept on training. She kept on looking for tips, obviously, from the guys. And I think Fit Finlay was quite a big thing for maybe towards later on when he came in as well.
Yeah, I recognised it. Yeah. He
started training the women up as well. So.
You hear them say though, don't you, that if I think it was either Charlotte or I can't remember, it was one of those 4, but they get asked all the time, who would you face? One of them says Trish or Lita all the time.
Yes. They are the 2 biggest names in women's wrestling.
Exactly.
And over the last maybe 15 years or something, maybe until the 4 horsewomen have came up now. But yeah.
Trish and Lita, on that point, Trish and Lita probably retired. Again, you're gonna have to remind me of dates, but there was definitely a gap of what feels like 7 or 8 years between them retiring and the Charlottes and the Baileys and the Sashas really coming through. Why do you think it took so long? Is that a Vince thing, or is that just they didn't have the quality of women?
They just didn't have a good quality, I think. I mean, they could have had it with AJ and Paige, but again, they sort of lost track on that slightly. But
that's what I think. I mean, AJ and Paige and everything, they were kind of the founding blocks for the women's revolution.
Yeah.
And then obviously the 4 horsewomen came in and kind of took the ball and ran with it. But yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying there.
And to be fair, I kind of with you a little bit on Trish and Lita, because obviously you could say Trish and Lita are the reason why we've now got the women like we have, and some of the quality of the women's matches have really made the men have to step up.
Yeah,
it's had a positive impact on the whole product, really. To be fair to you,
definitely down in NXT as well, because it made everybody down there stand up and take notice as well of what they can actually do.
So a couple of other names that a few other people suggested. CM Punk, obviously with his pipe bomb interview and stuff. Again, fairly new, but he had, it's not often people get chanted years after they leave. He obviously had a small amount of influence.
Great moment. Don't get me wrong. One of my favourite moments, but I don't see how CM Punk is one of the most influential people.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that.
I'm just Wikipedia and stuff.
Obviously, Daniel Bryan had a big moment as well. What do we think about Daniel Bryan? Because I'm just thinking, is there anybody that represented the slightly smaller guy? I know you could say Shawn Michaels, I suppose, but the whole Daniel Bryan, Guerrero, that sort of body type. Is there anybody that you could think of that really stepped forward and represented the slightly smaller guy, or is that just going back to Shawn Michaels again?
I think Shawn Michaels is an influence on those guys as well, but even if you're talking influences, so Eddie Guerrero's obviously influenced Sasha. But I was just having a look back there. Both Leah and Trish retired in 2006.
Big
God,
old
is that
gap.
long ago?
Yeah.
Wow, it's a big gap.
But they came back for some appearances here and there, obviously. But
Yeah, it's not the same.
no,
So was it talking of the women, talking of Charlotte, and anybody want to make a brief pitch for Ric Flair at all?
I think Ric Flair was a big influence on people in a slightly older generation because he's been around for that long.
Because you could say he influenced Triple H and influenced Shawn Michaels, and
Yeah, no, definitely. But then the newer generation's been influenced again by Ric Flair, I would say, yes, and Shawn Michaels. Some of them would say Stone Cold, like Kevin Owens would probably tell you Stone Cold was one of his influences. I think they'd done a thing on a podcast a couple of years ago now, and I think Owens basically just fanboyed over Stone Cold on the podcast. So, they are fans at heart as well. So
I think just the last name I got on my list here for people is The Rock to I guess bring fresh eyes to the product, more mainstream eyes. Maybe you could obviously had an influence on the product, but he's probably the biggest guy to do the crossover into Hollywood.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Easily, but
He's probably just giving them a bit more mainstream attention because of what he does now.
In terms of bringing in the most fans, do we think The Rock's top of that list?
As much as you guys are going to hate me for saying this, the biggest one at the moment is John Cena.
You're going to say Cena again, yeah.
Oh.
I think it's going to be hard. I'm not sure that's the answer most people wanted. It's going to be hard to argue against Cena, isn't it?
It's annoying.
When he's on shows, the ticket sales are higher. It's just, SmackDown house shows are outselling Raw house shows because Cena's on them. When Cena's not on them, SmackDown house shows drop. Cena's the biggest draw in WWE.
Like as I said last week, I've been to a few house shows and different things in the UK over the last couple of years, and even when Cena's not on the show, if they play his music or he's appearing in a video, he'll get the loudest response. It may not always be good, but he'll get the loudest response. It's easy to say he's obviously clearly a megastar there, but the reaction he gets, it just shows you how big he is. And I think people forget how big he is. I think in 10 years, he'll probably be looked at as another Rock Austin type.
I don't think he's going to have that crossover appeal that The Rock's got. I don't think he's going to go into films.
No. In terms of a legend of the sport, I think he's probably going to be.
Oh, I've got nothing but respect for the guy's work ethic and the last couple of years and the matches that he's put on, and he's been putting people over as well. So he's really helped. For me, I think he's helped the product, especially his US title run where he was having matches with so-called lower card guys, but was having good matches with them and actually giving them some time. So maybe not so much lower card. Maybe that was a wrong term to use, but I think you know what I mean. Then obviously they had, like, when Sammy came in, they had a good match with Sammy, despite the fact that Sammy had himself injured within the first couple of minutes.
Oh my God, on his entrance. Oh, that was so embarrassing.
Popped his shoulder out, just come like waving to the fans. And he put over Kevin Owens as well in Kevin Owens' first match.
Yeah, that's true.
He has given a lot back, hasn't he?
So I think the last couple of years especially, there was obviously a time where it was the Nexus were coming in and he buried the Nexus and then went backstage and said, yeah, you're right, they should have went over. So I think towards his maybe younger time or something like that, it was more about putting himself over, but now I think he's kind of realised that the younger guys need to go over now because they're the future.
So we've pretty much reached a unanimous decision, which is going to get us some stick, I think, for this. But I think we have reached a decision. I think Kev's probably agreeing with Cena as well, aren't you, Kev? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Obviously, if anybody disagrees, then this is a perfect chance to get in touch and let us know your thoughts. And we might bring this up again next week and have a quick chat about this next week as well. So obviously, in closing, then just we've now got 3 weeks with no pay-per-views, which I think's a rarity now.
Quite a big gap, yeah.
Officially the road to WrestleMania with no shows in between. So
Woo!
we can all get excited now.
Nearly there.
I think only Rach has got an excited voice. I'm sure you can tell with me.
Because you're grumpy. Come
Obviously
on, it's like
Chris
20 days, guys.
Chris has got the old Scottish grump going on as well, and I'm not sure if Kev can sound happy. Can you, Kev?
No.
No, good. So
I can never sound happy.
How did I get the whole Scottish grumpy thing? I'm not grumpy.
Scottish people are always grumpy, aren't they? With your 1 hour of sunlight a day.
Do we get that much?
So you'll have to be happy for us, Rach. You'll have to
I will.
bring.
I'll be happy for all of us.
Yeah. So for the next couple of weeks, we'll be talking more about the UK indie scene because there's a couple of shows going on. We'll preview WrestleMania a lot more. In closing, I mentioned last week that we were setting up a website that is now available at the socialodds.co.uk, so you can go and check that out. This podcast is now on iTunes. You can search for the Social Oddities on iTunes and subscribe and get all the latest episodes on there. And yeah, so you can tweet us at TSL_podcast, Facebook us, like I mentioned earlier. Just get in touch, questions, thoughts, comments, and we will talk about it all next week. So until then, we can say bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to tune in next time for more fighting talk. Catch you next time.